kids who grew up in the 90s, especially on 8-bit and 16-bit consoles, there was probably no fighting game more legendary than Mortal Kombat. This wasn't just another arcade fighter. This game completely shattered every rule people thought video games had. The violence, the style, the attitude, the blood, and on top of all that, a roster of insanely memorable characters. Everybody had their fighter, the one you picked every single time, the one you argued about with your friends for hours. Someday, we absolutely need to talk about the games themselves. But today's a little different. Back in 1995, we got the first Mortal Kombat movie adaptation. And honestly, I still love that movie to death. But this video isn't really about that one either. In 2021, Mortal Kombat got rebooted, and people had very mixed opinions about it. And now, literally just now, we finally got the sequel. So that's what I want to talk about today. Not really the movies themselves, but the characters. How faithful are they actually? How close are they to the original trilogy versions from the classic games? We're comparing their backstories, motivations, personalities, designs, behavior, everything. And listen, some of these adaptations genuinely pissed me off, so I'm not keeping this bottled up anymore. We're doing this together. This is gonna be good. And just in case you somehow forgot, you're on Pixel Queen. I'm Katie. Let's go.
It's showtime. Get over here!
So here are the rules. We're only using the original trilogy as source material. Mortal Kombat 1 from 1992, Mortal Kombat 2 from 1993, and Mortal Kombat 3 plus Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 from 1995. And we're comparing those versions to the 2021 and 2026 movies. I'm not touching later games like Deception, Armageddon, the 2011 reboot, and everything after that. Because if we open that door, this video instantly turns into a 6-hour documentary. And honestly, I actually liked the movies more than I disliked them, especially the second one. Some decisions are genuinely awesome. Others, yeah, you'll see. And obviously, we have to start with the guy everybody was waiting for. Scorpion, Hanzo Hasashi, the yellow ninja with the spear. One of the most iconic fighting game characters ever created. And the funny thing is, in the original MK1, he barely even had a backstory. It was basically revenge for his clan. That's it. Most of his deeper lore came later in books and future games. But honestly, one spear attack and one voice line were enough to make him immortal.
Get over here!
In the original trilogy, Scorpion is Hanzo Hasashi, a warrior of the Shirai Ryu clan. Sub-Zero murders him, murders his family, murders basically everybody he cared about. So Hanzo comes back from the Netherrealm with one goal: find Sub-Zero and return the favor. And in MK1, he actually does it. Mission accomplished. Revenge complete. Roll credits. Or at least that's what it looked like. Because in MK2, another Sub-Zero appears, the younger brother. And once Scorpion learns the truth, he makes a choice nobody expected. He protects him because his vengeance was against the murderer, not innocent blood. Honestly, that was one of the coolest pieces of lore back then. An undead ninja specter with a code of honor. Didn't expect that from a game where people rip each other's spines out. Then in Ultimate MK3, Scorpion joins Shao Kahn's side because Kahn promises him a way to stay alive forever. But the moment he realizes Sub-Zero, technically Kuai Liang, is fighting for Earthrealm, he switches sides immediately. That's Scorpion. He's rage, but he's not evil. Now in the 2021 movie, Hiroyuki Sanada. And honestly, that casting was ridiculously good. The tragedy is there, the Shirai Ryu are there, the murdered family is there, the revenge is there, and Scorpion versus Sub-Zero, easily one of the best scenes in the entire movie. No debate. But there's one massive issue. Cole Young. The movie invents this descendant of Scorpion from like 5 generations later, and suddenly a huge chunk of Scorpion's motivation revolves around protecting him. That does not exist in the games. At all. Now, is it terrible? Cinematically? Maybe not. Personally though, I hated it. I honestly think the movie would have been way stronger if Scorpion stood entirely on his own. No bloodline prophecy stuff, no forced descendant plot, and honestly, I think even the filmmakers realized that eventually. But no spoilers. Scorpion shows up again in the sequel, but his role is so tiny, it almost feels contractual. Like, hey guys, don't worry, he's still here. Still cool seeing him again though. Not gonna lie. Now let's talk about another legend, Sub-Zero. Actually, two Sub-Zeros. Because yes, there are two of them in the games. Quick fun fact, Noob Saibot is literally the creator's names backwards. Boone, Tobias, Noob Saibot. Subtlety was not their thing. Respect though, that's iconic. In the original trilogy, Bi-Han is the first Sub-Zero, cold-blooded assassin, kills Hanzo Hasashi under Shang Tsung's orders. Then Scorpion kills him in return, and after death, Bi-Han comes back as Noob Saibot. Not really human anymore, more like a living shadow. No emotions, no identity, no humanity left. A man who literally became the concept of darkness. Honestly, that's metal as hell. Then there's Kuai Liang, the second Sub-Zero. Younger brother, MK2 onward. And unlike Bi-Han, he chooses honor over blind obedience. When the Lin Kuei start turning ninjas into cyborgs, Kuai Liang walks away from the clan completely. That's the key difference. Same mantle, completely different people. Now, in the 2021 movie, Sub-Zero is played by Joe Taslim. And honestly, he's awesome. Every scene with him feels dangerous, silent, ruthless, relentless. But there's one problem. The movie only gives us Bi-Han. No Kuai Liang. No honorable younger brother. No redemption arc. None of that. The movie basically says, nope, we're making him pure nightmare fuel. But then, the 2026 movie actually gives fans a huge payoff. Bi-Han becomes Noob Saibot. Straight from the games. That transformation into darkness after death? Perfect lore adaptation. I genuinely loved that. Granted, his role is still kinda tiny. Same problem as Scorpion. Feels a little bit like fan service. But honestly, I'll take it. So overall, Bi-Han feels accurate. The Noob Saibot transformation is fantastic. Still needed way more screen time. Now let's talk about Raiden, God of Thunder, protector of Earthrealm, and the man who permanently looks disappointed in humanity. Fun fact, in the original Mortal Kombat 1, Raiden was actually hard for beginners to play. His teleport required precise timing, and arcade kids hated him more than Goro. And Goro was a four-armed monster. That says a lot. In the games, after Shang Tsung threatens Earthrealm, Raiden enters the tournament in mortal form. He's wise, harsh, fair, but also emotionally distant from humans. He feels like a god. In the 2021 movie, though, he feels weirdly human. And honestly, that's controversial. Game Raiden walks into a room and you instantly think, yeah, that dude is definitely immortal. Movie Raiden feels more like a very experienced martial arts coach who really likes dumplings. I'm sorry, look at him! The movie also has him directly interfering in battles multiple times, which kinda breaks the original gods cannot interfere rule. But I also understand why they did it. Because if you put a lightning god in your movie, people expect him to fry somebody eventually. Oddly enough, I liked him way more in the sequel. The design improved, the presence improved. He finally started feeling more divine. So overall, protector and mentor role is preserved. Added emotional conflict is actually interesting, but the godlike aura is much weaker, and the non-interference rule gets ignored constantly. Now Liu Kang, the chosen one, the champion, the hero of Mortal Kombat, and one of my favorite characters, who somehow became a side character in his own franchise. But okay, let's go step by step. Fun fact, in early versions of MK1, Liu Kang actually had two endings. One where he saves the world as a hero, and another where victory slowly changes him. Even back then, the developers gave him moral complexity. The movie completely ignores that. In the trilogy, Liu Kang is a Shaolin monk and the only person to win Mortal Kombat 3 times. MK1 beats Shang Tsung. MK2 defeats Kintaro and Shang Tsung again. MK3 fights Shao Kahn himself. This dude is basically Bruce Lee saving the universe. His entire fighting style is a direct tribute to Bruce Lee, even the sound effects. Now in the 2021 movie, oh my god, he annoyed me so much. He's overly emotional, overly dramatic, and absolutely does not feel like a leader. And remember, he's not even the main character anymore. That role goes to Cole Young. So Liu Kang shows up halfway through the movie, basically as support staff. The man who saved Earthrealm 3 times in the games got demoted to sidekick energy. Amazing. Thankfully, the 2026 movie fixes a lot of this. He feels tougher, more confident, actually dangerous. And honestly, outside of one specific fighter, he's basically the only guy who realistically feels capable of throwing hands with Shao Kahn. Finally, he no longer feels like an emotional teenager. He finally feels like Mortal Kombat's champion. Overall, huge improvement in the sequel. Completely wrong energy in the first movie, and his legendary champion status barely exists in the films. Now finally, Johnny Cage, the character everybody waited for. Missing from the first movie, then suddenly becoming one of the best parts of the sequel. Johnny Cage is loud, cocky, ridiculous, and somehow insanely lovable. Chun's original motivation in MK1 is genuinely hilarious. He enters a deadly supernatural tournament because movie critics said his martial arts skills were fake. That's it. That's the motivation. And somehow, that absurdity made fans love him. But underneath all the ego, Johnny is actually brave. He has fears. He has insecurities. He's human. Before MK3, he even dies, which is why he's missing from the original MK3 roster. Later games evolve him even more. Father, veteran, survivor. Johnny Cage eventually became one of the emotional cores of the franchise. In the 2021 movie, complete absence. The director straight up admitted Johnny was too big for the first movie because he'd steal the spotlight. And honestly, yeah, probably. Especially when your main character is some dude whose name I already forgot. But in the 2026 movie, Karl Urban, Judge Dredd, Billy Butcher. A man physically incapable of lacking charisma. And holy hell, he absolutely nailed Johnny Cage! Funny, dangerous, arrogant, broken underneath. Perfect. Honestly, I might even prefer this version to the original game story. Because here, Johnny isn't just trying to prove his stunts are real. He's a washed-up action star who genuinely believes his life is over. And Mortal Kombat gives him one last chance to matter again. That's good character writing. So overall, casting is phenomenal. Personality and tone are perfect. And honestly, this version might even be better than the games. Now Kung Lao, the guy with the hat. You know the one. The hat that turns people into lunch meat. In the trilogy, Kung Lao is the descendant of the great Kung Lao, a legendary champion who once won the tournament. That legacy weighs heavily on him. He envies Liu Kang's fame a little, but never crosses the line. He's not a villain, he's a rival. A noble one. That's classic Mortal Kombat. And honestly, the 2021 movie handled him surprisingly well. Not a ton of screen time, but he absolutely used every second. He feels strong, confident, slightly arrogant, exactly like he should. And his hat? Still the real main character. His death scene is honestly one of the movie's strongest emotional moments. And yes, he returns in the sequel, but with a twist. No spoilers. Overall, personality and style feel accurate. The hat remains undefeated. Still didn't get enough development. Okay, now let's talk about Kano. Because movie Kano became an actual phenomenon. In the games, Kano was basically the ultimate survivor. Criminal, mercenary, coward, manipulator. In MK1, he sneaks onto Shang Tsung's island hoping to rob the place blind, while Sonya Blade hunts him down. And honestly, that is peak Kano motivation. Money. Always money. Now, in the 2021 movie, Kano steals every single scene. The jokes, the insults, the arrogance. And Josh Lawson's charisma is completely out of control. The moment he called Raiden Gandalf, I completely lost it. Movie Kano is somehow both hilarious and incredibly accurate to the spirit of the original character. And his chemistry with Johnny Cage in the sequel? Absolute gold. Overall, motivation matches the games perfectly. Josh Lawson is an unexpected superstar. The laser eye looks awesome. Honestly, this might actually be better than the original version. Now Sonya and Jax, two military agents dragged into an interdimensional death tournament. Fun fact, this point about in Fun of Kanya Blade was the first female fighter in Mortal Kombat. And in 1992, that actually mattered. She wasn't a princess, not a magical chosen one, just a tough investigator with attitude. Meanwhile, Jax debuted in MK2, and his metal arms were originally prosthetics after losing his real ones, which was dark for a 1993 arcade game. In the trilogy, Sonya's entire motivation is personal. Catch Kano. That's it. She doesn't enter Mortal Kombat to save the universe. She just chases a criminal into absolute insanity. Jax enters the story to rescue her. And that's what makes them cool. They're ordinary humans fighting gods and monsters. The movies actually handled both of them pretty well. Jessica McNamee nails Sonya's stubbornness and aggression. Mehcad Brooks works as Jax. The metal arms are there, the tragedy is there, and honestly, I really liked both adaptations. Overall, their personalities and dynamic are faithful. Jax's arms are explained properly. Sonya and Kano still hate each other exactly as they should. Now Kitana. Princess. Assassin. Rebel. In the original trilogy, Kitana discovers that Shao Kahn murdered her real father and manipulated her entire life. So eventually, she turns against him. That inner conflict, loyalty versus conscience, is what made Kitana interesting. And honestly, the 2026 movie handled her really well. Very close to the games. That she already knows the truth from the beginning instead of discovering it later. But honestly, I liked this version a lot. Now Shang Tsung, the soul-stealing sorcerer himself. In the original phoner, MK1, Shang Tsung could literally transform into every fighter and use all their abilities. So sometimes, you were basically fighting yourself. And for 1992, that was insanely cool. In the trilogy, Shang Tsung is manipulative, power-hungry, obsessed with souls because they keep him young and strong. But despite all his intelligence, he still answers to Shao Kahn. That relationship, master and servant, creates a lot of hidden resentment later on. And honestly, Chin Han absolutely understood the assignment. Cold, elegant, threatening. Very accurate version of Shang Tsung. And finally, Shao Kahn, the final boss, the Emperor of Outworld, the man whose voice alone traumatized arcade players. Fun fact, Shao Kahn's iconic voice in MK2 and MK3 was done by one of the game programmers. Not even a professional actor, just a guy screaming lines into a microphone. And somehow, it became legendary. In the trilogy, Shao Kahn isn't just evil, he's overwhelming. He wants to absorb Earthrealm itself into his empire. And in MK3, he straight up ignores tournament rules and invades Earth directly. Now in the 2026 movie, Martin Ford. Absolute unit of a human being. Physically, this is probably the closest Shao Kahn has ever looked to the games. He genuinely feels terrifying. Now quickly, a few more characters that deserve attention. Cabal, former Black Dragon member, survives horrific injuries and stays alive thanks to his respirator mask. Fastest fighter in MK3. Honestly, pretty faithful in the first movie. Jade, Kitana's best friend and Shao Kahn's assassin. Her loyalty conflict actually survives into the 2026 movies surprisingly well. Baraka, a Tarkatan warrior with literal blades for arms. And honestly, the sequel absolutely nails Baraka. Equal parts horrifying and weirdly funny. His scenes with Johnny Cage are fantastic. So, let's talk overall score. These movies are not perfect adaptations. They never tried to be. They're reinterpretations. And while the first movie made some questionable decisions, especially with Cole Young and Liu Kang, the sequel honestly fixes a lot of those problems. You can genuinely feel that the creators wanted to make fans happy this time, not just through the characters, but through the attacks, the arenas, the references, the little details. It finally feels like Mortal Kombat again. And honestly, that's what I love most about Mortal Kombat. Whether it's the games or the movies, at the core, it has always been about people. Even when those people include thunder gods, undead ninjas, and dudes with sword hands. Scorpion wants revenge for his family. Sub-Zero searches for honor. Liu Kang wants to save his world. Kano wants money. Johnny Cage wants people to finally take him seriously. Those motivations haven't changed since 1992. And as long as the movies keep that alive, Mortal Kombat will survive too. So, did MK 2026 capture the spirit of the original games? For me, absolutely yes. And if you've already seen it, I really want to hear your opinion in the comments. And honestly, if you want a full review of the movie itself, let me know.